Good morning, everyone. I am excited to be on here today. We are talking to Deanna from Pumping with Purpose because it is World Pumping Day this week. So come on in. I'm very excited. I think that should work. There's a request. Accept that request. I keep accepting it. Oh, there we go.
Hi,
Hi. How are you doing?
I am great. How are you?
Oh, I'm awesome. I had a massage this morning, so I am like all zen.
Yes, that sounds amazing.
I'm just like, oh.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's a beautiful day. Like I was driving and I'm like, the sun is shining. I'm on my way for a massage and my husband's taking the kids to school. Like,
That is amazing.
yeah, it was a great morning.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I'm off this week, so it was a great week. I didn't take off for World Breast Pumping Day. It kind of just happened that way, but it's been a nice time to myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Have you had some like time where you're able to just like do things like you things, like things that make you feel like yourself?
What's that? No. No, I mean, for me, I was saying it today, like, to me, things like basement Fridays or my husband's like you were talking about, like takes the kids. So I like have a night to myself. Like those are the little things that like resonate with me so well to just have some time to myself or, but between the time that I finish my work day and go pick them up from daycare, it's like an hour. So like those times right now, just given the pandemic and what we're in, I just haven't had that. But once things get a little bit better.
I know. It's just like it's taking those slices, right? Like it's
Yes.
taking that like 20 minutes to yourself
Yes.
and just like on the drive to daycare and being like, you know what, gonna grab a coffee today or
Yes.
every day. Um, I'm
Yes.
pretty sure I like handedly like funded my local Starbucks postpartum like the first year after my second daughter was born. Like it was
Oh,
like my sanity.
yes.
I was like, just do not take this from me. So
No.
let's dive into things. So Deanna, tell us a bit about yourself,
Yeah.
Pumping with Purpose, and in a minute here, I'll also introduce myself. Guys, sorry, you guys were on Little Wing Sleep, but I'm Anna on a
Yeah.
Little Wing Sleep, mama to two, certified sleep coach, all about being responsive and being there with your kids and making the best choices for your kids and your family and understanding why do things happen in sleep, how can we be holistic in our family and in our sleep. And so a part of my journey is that holistic thing of like, actually part of my journey with breastfeeding and bottle feeding was pumping,
Yeah.
and it was a really important part. And my friends used to always say it sounds like there's a bee stuck in our car,
Yeah.
because I would just like turn it on and they wouldn't know it's happening, but it was in a really important part of my journey. And so
Yes.
I'm really excited to have you here. So tell us a bit about yourself
Yes.
and why you're passionate about this.
So my name is Dr. Diana Dixon. I'm a doctor of public administration, a certified lactation counselor, and a certified breastfeeding specialist. I am the owner of Pump with Purpose. I started this as a way to advocate and educate the pumping community. So this space, as someone that exclusively pumps, and even for occasional pumpers as well. So I try to do it both ways. So for the exclusive pumping community, I'm an exclusive pumper. My first journey, I pumped for 9 months and I had enough milk to last my son for the additional 3 months because I got pregnant and I wanted to still provide him with milk. So pumping worked well for me. On my second journey, I am now pumping almost 29 months next week, so well over 2 years, exclusively pumping for both of my sons. So I tandem pump. What that means is I provide both of my boys breast milk. So when the baby was a little baby, of course, he got all of what he needed. And then any oversupply, I supplied to my son, my older son as well. And then I, put away some milk in the freezer just in case. But so I am a strong advocate. I own like 35 pumps right now, and I have over 100 pumping products. So I offer pumping consults, but it's definitely more than that. I am at a place and in a space of people need to understand pumping. If you're nursing, you know exactly what you need to do. I mean, unless you have latching difficulties or anything, but But pumping is so many products, it's so many pumps, it's so many things. And it's like trying to just help the community demystify like what is happening. Like sometimes you're just given a pump, go use this pump. It's a popular brand, but it may not be what you need to be successful on your journey. So I started Pump with Purpose as a place to just have a spot for, regardless if you're an exclusive pumper or an occasional pumper is a pumper in addition, pumping in addition to nursing, a spot that they can come to find education, to find resources, to find information, but in a way that meets you where you are. So if you love pumping like me, then that's great. If you hate pumping, because some days I hate pumping. So, but if you love pumping or you hate it, like finding a spot, a place where it's safe to say what you feel on a certain day. World Breast Pumping Day, the theme this year of holding space really resonated with me because some people love it, some people hate it, some people are ashamed, some people are embarrassed, some people are just struggling to find their space in this feeding journey. And so having this day, having people that are pumping to say it's okay not to be okay is just very important to me.
It's like there's a lot of hormones going on, and there's a lot of different products to choose. There's a lot of different things of like finding out what's best for your baby and your journey. Like I was a mom, my thyroid didn't regulate till I stopped pumping in nursing. So it was like I loved it, but it was like for my family, I had to stop, but with my second, so my thyroid would regulate.
Yes.
And so it's like every family has all of these different things going on, right? And whereas like with my first, I breastfed for longer, but I was a bridesmaid 4 times. Like I had to figure out pumping quick.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And I ended up loving the freedom of it. Like it was like, there was a balance to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I tell people all the time, like I mourned my nursing journey. So also recognizing for the person, like for me, that planned to nurse. My son was in the NICU for a couple of days. He pooped in the sac and his lungs collapsed at birth and he had to be resuscitated. So he had to be immediately taken to the NICU, thankfully for only 2 or 3 days. But I didn't know about pumping. I was just given a pump. I didn't know about hand massaging. I didn't know about, doing certain things beforehand. And so, because you never know what your journey is going to be, having a plan, if nursing is the number one plan, that is absolutely amazing. But at least for the pumping community to understand, like getting the help even in the prenatal journey is just important as well. So for me, it's just finding a spot that it's okay to have a certain plan that you want, but then having to face the reality if it is something a little bit different that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I have so many clients in the US who are like, I have to go back to daycare at like 6 to 8 weeks. Like pumping's it. Like what pump should I buy? And I'm like, I don't know which pump to buy.
Yes. No, that is a very...
I had the same pump for both kids. So
Yes, no. And it's just so many pumps, on the market to choose from, what to do, how to use them appropriately, getting the right flange size, like all of those things are just
that changes your life when you have the right flange size. That and that like disinfecting spray, like the spray you can just put in the diaper bag. Oh, yes, running, let's go.
I'm all about nipple care. I know like people are like, oh my gosh, but it's like, for me, I don't want to pump, or, if someone is nursing, like, you need certain care, I don't want to, when I'm done after all this, to look down and like, what happened down there? I want to be and really, just advocate for people to be comfortable in their journey, whatever that looks like.
Awesome. I love it. So let's go over a couple of like really crucial pumping tips.
Yes.
We'll talk about like how that kind of like relates to sleep, because I know that that's like a big question. If you guys have questions about like pumping sleep related, like how they intersect, or even a pumping question, if we have time, we'll answer them. So you can put them in the comments.
Yes.
But like for you, what have been some things that have, like we did a post together yesterday, the day before, with some tips, which is awesome. But what have been some things that make life so much easier for you?
Yes.
Okay, so we're getting a pumping bra on here. Okay.
Yes, I'm gonna get hands on. I'm all about, if you go to
You're
my
gonna get handsy with this. Okay.
yes, I am all about showing, because until you see it, you don't realize like how easy or hard it is. So this is I'll show you my first tip, which is pumping and feeding at the same time. So literally, if I was pumping right now, I would have my pump on, and then I have a aid here, so you can easily, pump like this. I believe in pace bottle feeding, so that is very important.
Yes. Love pace
Right.
bottle feeding. It helps a lot with sleep.
Exactly. So it's big on making sure they don't take in too much of milk, making sure they don't have the acid reflux. So it's literally just popping the baby. So I'm pumping, like I would just have tubes here, I have the baby here, and I am pumping and feeding at the same time. You can also turn the baby to you and do it, just looking at them. I believe for me, until the child gets older, you can use a boppy, but I just prefer, like, just for safety reasons.
Well,
Yes.
like if you're hands on, right? Like there's all of that oxytocin happening,
Yes, exactly.
right? Like the smells there, baby's like,
Yes.
woo, milk bath,
Yes.
let's go.
Exactly. And so making sure that the bottle just has just enough milk in it. So it should take about 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes to feed your baby. And every ounce or 2 ounces as they grow, you birth them. And how do you birth them? Literally, I have put a baby between my pumps for 9 months, at least 9 months. I have birthed my children just like this, as I'm pumping, getting it all done, pumping and feeding at the same time has been so instrumental for me. I truly advocate for it in any way possible, to just get two things done at the same time.
One mom was here saying she like mourned her initial expectations of nursing, but then like realized how pumping was so freeing and you were still able to connect. And this is a really good way that you're still able to connect, right? Like you're able to like have those like snuggles, burp them
Yeah,
while still pumping. And I
yeah,
am so glad that someone just said, I just sat down in the work closet to pump and then saw this live. You know what? I am like, the person that pumped at a rodeo, and I was like, I ain't going into a bathroom for this. I'm just going to cover up with a shirt.
yes,
But
yes. No, I
but
complete.
I understand at work. Then you like
Yeah,
totally respect that. So
yeah,
I'm not saying you should get out of the closet if you don't feel comfortable. What I'm saying is like, be proud of your pumping journey.
yeah. Someone said I cried when my little one kicked off my bottle. Yes, as they grow now and get more dependent.
Okay. And
Yes,
that's where like having the strap really helps, right?
yes.
Because it keeps them on.
Yes, it does. But
Yeah.
when you kick and it pulls it while it's pumping, it's a whole different feeling. So I feel your pain, like, and making sure that their feed is controlled as much as possible as they're growing. I mean, ideally, as they're growing, you may need to like readjust a little bit and maybe have a toys or, something for them to play with while you're pumping. Once they get, more, older, that may be helpful as well.
Yeah. So with when I first had a baby, my boobs went to like G's, like they went from D's to G's. It was like, um, and then I was like, I'm just trying to figure out this like breastfeeding or pumping thing. I can't do two things at once. So it does it like as you get used to it, it's like maybe it's having someone else there and being like, I'm gonna do a tandem like pumping, feeding.
Yeah.
And then when I'm like feeling like I'm losing the plot here, we're going to practice while a partner's around or a support person's around. So they're able to like kind of jump in, grab the baby or
Yes.
like grab the bottles.
Those first 2 weeks are so critical. And like for me, my husband went back to work after 2 weeks. So it was sink or swim for me. So it was literally this just finding ways. But if you can have a partner to to feed the baby while you are pumping, that's bonding as well. Just looking at them in their eyes and, knowing that they're creating a bond as well, is also very important as well. But yes, as they get older, it becomes much more difficult, or you just want to have your time to pump and then let someone else feed the baby as well.
Yeah. And I found my mother-in-law gave me the best advice when I was about 3 months postpartum and like panicking about having to give my child a bottle because I was breastfeeding exclusively, right? And I was like, I just don't understand how this connection like that we have is going to be the same once we transition or once we introduce this and someone else gives her the bottle. And one thing that she said to me that was really like resonated with me, and I tell my clients often, is like your relationship around food with your baby will always be there, and you will always be the primary supplier of that food, right? Like you are their safe person, you are that core, but their relationship with you around food is going to be evolving. Like it's going to be evolving and it's still going to be special, but just in different ways. You know, like with our teenagers, it's going to be like, Mom, I found this restaurant, let's go and eat together. When I'm in the stage with my 4-year-old where it's like, let me chop things with you, like let's do this together. And so like at 6 months, it's like, let me introduce you to this whole new world. And so it's the same thing with pumping and bottle feeding. You're like, hey, let me introduce you to something really beautiful together. It's not, yeah, you can still have such an amazing connection.
Agreed. I completely agree. And that was what it was for me. I still looked at my children in their eyes. I still felt like I was their sole provider of milk. And that even now after 2 years, like there's something about that for me that keeps me holding on. Like even if it's, you know, I'm not providing 100% of their nutrients anymore, but the fact that I know that my body is still providing some of it means so much to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have one question. I'm going to be a bridesmaid in 3 weeks, and my dress is so uncomfortable to pull on and off. Any tips for pumping during the day? Can I pump less than usual, and or would I have to maintain the usual amount?
So one day of taking a moment and to enjoy being a bridesmaid, I mean, you know, a bridesmaid at a wedding and being there for your friend in that moment is what you should do. To me, if it was me, pump on your way there, make sure you empty efficiently before you get to the wedding, and then enjoy your time. Like if it needs to, you know, between the reception and, you know, you got to go take pictures and everything, but if there's a break to just, you know, put on what I have on right now is one that you zip up so you can, you know, literally take it, put it around your body, keep it in your purse or something, put it on, strap up to the pump, and do what you need to do for a little bit of time. And if you can only get a 15-minute session in, you know, between the time you are going from the reception, from the wedding to the reception, do that. And then when you get home, have a good long pumping session to make sure you are or nurse if you're nursing, whatever works for you, or do both, nurse first and then pump, just making sure you are sufficiently empty. But taking a day, missing a pump session, you know, as long as your supply is, you know, in well, you should be fine. Like one day of being there for your family and your friends, or, you know, in your circle, is important to be there for them in that moment. And one day to just pump when you can is okay.
Yeah, like I said, I was a bridesmaid 4 times with my first baby in like the first 6 or 8 months or something. Anyway, so this is a familiar rodeo.
Yeah.
One couple of things that I found really helpful was I talked to the bride about when those moments might be. Like what's the schedule of the day? So I didn't need to, like I anticipated it in my mind. So when my boobs were really hurting, I was like, it's okay. We're going to have that drive in about half an hour. I'm going to pump then.
Yes.
And like, you know, just before walking down the aisle when everyone's like froofing and stuff, I'm just like, let's get this sorted. But knowing that schedule ahead of time really reduced a lot of anxiety for me in that. So what's the next pumping tip that you've got here?
So yes, the next pumping tip is pumping and feeding from the same bottle if it's possible. So I pumped in different, you know, pumps come, you know, either in wide neck or narrow neck. And so if possible, so like I have a Spectra flange here. So if you have more of a wider neck bottle, there is a bottle converter that you can get that can easily put onto your Spectra pump or your wider neck pump bottle. And then I fed my children from Medela bottles. Like whatever your preference is, just know that bottles are interchangeable. So when I would pump, I would then put on my Medela bottle. I would pump into that bottle regardless if I was at work, at home, and then that would be the bottle once if my children drank about 4 to 5 ounces in a sitting. So I would have 4 to 5 ounces in this once I pumped, and then I would literally unhook the bottom part once I finished my session, and let's say 4 ounces of milk was in here. I put my bottle top on and I fed my child. Like it also is less time to wash dishes, less dishes to wash. So please understand, you know, of course you got to figure out which bottle your baby wants to use. Dr. Brown's, those are the smaller neck bottles. You have your Lancino, your wider neck A-vent bottles that can easily interchange into different pumps. So just figuring out once you learn, and of course, now there are bottles that may not fit your pump regardless if you decide to, use a different bottle. But some people don't even realize that, certain bottles, you can easily put a Dr. Brown's bottle on a Medela pump. So just really making sure to try and see if, your bottle will fit on your pump can help you save time as well.
Yeah, it just kind of like makes everything smoother. So you're not
Yeah.
like, oh, do I have these bottles for this scenario and this bottle? Like, yeah, moms already have so much mental math when it comes to this. The less mental math, the better,
Yes, exactly.
right? Yeah, and like when it comes to sleep, babies who are bottle or pump fed versus babies who are feeding directly from the breast, there's no difference when it comes to sleep. And so it's about what is doing best for your baby, and having your baby like feeding when your baby first wakes up. It means that your baby is going to be the most efficient at taking the milk. They're going to get the fullest feed they possibly can. And it means that they're going to have a better sleep because we're going to have a really clear routine and rhythm for them, which I always love. And a lot of moms often will find that they love to like pump so our babies, when we're working with them, they're sleeping 10 to 12 hours a night by the time we're done, right? Usually in the first few days, like in the first week, they're sleeping through the night. And so moms often love to have that evening pump, and then they're able to kind of like have that supply sustained, but also have that extra bottle so that then when those situations come up, they have that stored breast milk, which is always fantastic. And often, dads want to do bedtime routines, or the other partner or the grandparent, and means that they're able to do that. Or if your baby gets sick or something like that, you've got those kind of like backups. And so instead of dream feeding your baby at 10 p.m., why don't we do a pump there? And then if baby is hungry, they will wake up. Like, I think that we need to trust our babies when they feel hungry, that they're going to let us know. They're going to let us know that they're hungry and they're ready to eat. And, if they're overtired, then they're also listening to their bodies and they're saying, I need sleep. And so this parenting journey is all about getting to know your child, what they need, and helping them understand their body and trust their bodies.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have a couple of people asking tips for getting your baby to take a bottle. I'm actually going to a client's house this coming week, and we are practicing naps and bottles. So this is cool.
Yes. So again, I focus in the pumping space. So I will always say when I did not nurse my children, so we tried for a few months to make sure that would happen, but I just think that I don't want to say something I don't know. I'm not an expert at
Yes. Yeah.
breast to bottles. So please, if you have something to add from your experience.
Yeah, I think like what I would say is there are some really cool accounts about that transition. And like, I'm not a lactation consultant either. Like, and however, I also know that when babies are overtired, or your baby it has just had a short nap, like a big part of like how well they're able to take a bottle depends on how well slept they are. And so we always recommend when we're working with lactation consultants is they'll work on that part there, and I'll work on the timing part of making sure that baby's had a really good sleep. And we're introducing a bottle in that feed after a good chunk of sleep. We're not doing it after a short nap. We're not doing it at the end of the day where baby's got that built up overtiredness. We're not doing it when baby's trying to learn something completely new when it comes to sleep. And so trying it like when baby is like fresh, like it's going to be easier for them to do that either at the beginning of the day or just before, like, yeah. So my advice, and I often tag lactation consultants. Callie Hudon, sorry, is SLP is like one of my favorite go-tos because I just like love her. She is a SLP who specializes in feeding. So that would be a really good resource.
So yeah, I want to say regardless of what, making sure you find someone that specializes in what you're looking for. So like
Yes.
I specialize in pumping. I don't do latch assessments. I don't go from, if you want to add pumping to your nursing journey, and learning about pumping, that's something.
That's you.
Yes, that's me. But I think that in this space, people admitting and saying like that's not my specialty, like my goal is to make pumping a specialty for people to know, like if I need help with pumping,
Yes.
for purpose is where it is. But when it comes to nursing and anything about that journey, I always recommend I refer out, and I always recommend to people to ask whoever you're working with what they're familiar with, what is their specialty, what do they specialize in, and people may know a little bit about a lot. I just know a lot about pumping, so
I love that you're all like, I love that you're like, this is where
this is
my
me.
specialty lies.
Yeah.
We have lots of questions, but we have limited time. So what we're going to do is I want you guys to comment your questions or to reach out and make sure to Dr. Diana and make sure that you ask those questions about pumps, and make sure you celebrate Journey. If you find another mom who's like going, you know what, I am discovering my path on how to pump, how to do sleep, encourage them to seek resources, to connect with us, and encourage them on that journey. Sometimes just another mom saying, hey, I see you figuring this out. This is not easy, but you've got this, makes a world of difference.
Yes. So yes, I just wanted to, we have a little bit of time left, just to, let you all know if you need something, need a resource, feel free to reach out. I am, here to provide you with what I specialize in. If it's something that I am not able to, tell you, then I always have plenty of resources, IBCLCs at your call to like help you with your nursing journey to really figure out. And if it is something outside of my scope of practice, because all professionals have a scope that they can manage. If it's something outside of it, we'll refer out. But I really have a strong passion turned purpose for the pumping community and helping them to reach their pumping goals. So,
I
and
love it. So I have one more question.
yes.
So if I was to have another baby, what pump should I get? Like out of your 39 pumps, which is your favorite?
So I hold a strong boundary because it just depends. Like
Okay.
my not, it's not every, but I will say this. There are your tried and true pumps out there, like your
Yeah.
Spectrum, that, if you can't go wrong with that. I will say that you can't go wrong with that. But there are just so many pumps out here, depending on your strength of suction. Like people are out here really damaging themselves by using pumps that are way too strong for them, that are using pumps that are not effectively emptying them. There are some that are well known for not effectively emptying people. So it's just really, really hard to say. But I will say on the record, like your tried and true pumps, like your Spectras, will most likely get the job done.
So I need to like send you things if I decide to have another one. I need to just like keep watching all of your stuff.
Yes, I have
We
plenty.
all just need to go and follow you and make sure that we keep up with things.
Yeah, I have so many reviews out there. So I try to tell you about a pump from a place of, if you were using this pump, these are the things that the pump has to offer, all of that. But like that, because it depends on your job. Like if you're a nurse, I will not recommend certain pumps to you, period. If you, tell me on my hospital, because I always recommend if you have insurance, start with your hospital grade pump. Always accept that pump and start there. Then figure out what you like about it, what you don't like about it, and then go from there. But
That's helpful.
there's
Yeah.
pumps on the market right now. Very cool.
Like the last couple of years, there's been some amazing ones come out. I'm like, ooh, this looks fun.
Yes, and my pumps range from $60 to $2,500. So budget is a big thing people don't talk about. Like, what is your budget? If you have a $150 budget, that's gonna knock out a bunch of pumps. If your budget is $600, so really like recognizing like what you're looking for, what your job profession is, what you plan to do with it, and then knowing if you like a strong suction or a fast suction or a low suction. Like all of those things really, really matter because there's so many people right now sitting with pumps on their shelves that they cannot use because it didn't work for them. And so I just don't want to add to the stress and say, Pump with Purpose told me that this was the best, and it's absolutely horrible. And I just can't because
No, yeah. I mean, I donated my pump after I was done with it because, and like I had other moms use it. And it's like, because just for them to try, like, you know, you got to try these different. I actually went through 2 other pumps before I had my Medela that I loved.
okay, so see, you love Matisse. Like, see, yeah. See, so
Yep. And oh, it had to be the freestyle, 2-handed. Had to be, yep, double. Couldn't do
yeah.
the single. Not efficient.
See, that's what I'm saying. That wouldn't be one of my favorite pumps. And that's what I end up loving. So yeah, see, that's why it's like it's so hard without having like that conversation and say, like, what do you like about pumps and all, like you're one of the first people. Like the freestyle flex or the flex, the new one. The freestyle.
No, the one before this, I want to try. I mean, I'm not pumping, so I can't try
Yeah,
it, but you know.
the freestyle. So I had the old freestyle.
Yeah.
Ah,
But it
okay.
was like I like had it clipped on, I did my thing, like yeah, oh yeah. Good
Wow.
stuff.
See, that's amazing. Like, yeah.
Like I'm not even joking when I'm like, yeah, I breastfed. I loved breastfeeding, but I was also the person that was at a date at the rodeo with my husband with my shirt over and yep,
Yeah.
that's me.
But yes, that's why this space is so needed and so great.
Mhm.
And definitely, if you all have any questions, concerns, feel free to reach out. Even if you're from the Pump with Purpose, I wanted to reach out to the sleep community because I just know how important that is to my household. Sleep, yeah, it's tough. So I wanted to advocate on this day for sleep as well.
Thank you so much. And we will chat with you soon. I really
Yes.
appreciate everything. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.